There's a mistake a lot of people make when they're taking wire off a bonsai tree, and it's something that can completely screw up their tree. So listen up, because I'm going to tell you what that is and what you should do instead. Now, what many beginners don't know with bonsai is when you wire branches, depending on the species, a lot of the time you actually want wire to bite into the tree, and that's true of larch. Now, the reason you want wire to bite into your branches is because you want the branch to hold its shape when you take the wire off. And when wire bites into a branch, it shows you that the branch has grown enough new tissue to hold its new position when the wire comes off. Now that comes with a trade-off, which is a visible mark left on the branch. And with rough bark species of tree like a larch, those marks cover up really quickly with growth of bark. So that's not something that we really need to worry about. Now there's two ways that we can approach unwiring a tree. The first is to take the tip of a wire and unwind it from the branch. And the other is to take a pair of wire cutters and cut the wire off the tree. There are pros and cons to both approaches, but one of the biggest mistakes that you can do to screw up your tree is by using the wrong approach at the wrong time. So we're going to look at both of those. We're going to look at when you should unwire, when you should cut the wires, where you can go wrong with either approach, and how to do both correctly so that you can unwire a tree safely and not damage any of the branches as you go. Here you can see quite clearly the wire biting into the branch. Now, I mentioned that we want wire to bite in on the tree so that it can hold its shape. We don't want it to bite in so much that it starts to impede the growth of the branch, which is why it's time for this to come off. The question is, with this situation, would we want to cut the wire off or would we want to unwire? And if you ask me, trying to cut this wire is going to do more harm than good, because the wire cutters can't get flush to the wire to cut it. The only way to cut that wire there would be to cut into the branch itself, which is going to do a lot of damage. So we're going to opt for unwiring here. Now, what can go wrong with this? First of all, we're going to find the tip. And as you're unwiring, you need to make sure that you exit the branch from the exact same angle that you entered on. If you move side to side and push up against the bark on either side of the wire, you can do a lot of damage to the branch. I'm going to use these cutters as pliers here. So gently moving the branch aside, I'm going to grab it just to get us started. So being very gentle, trying not to damage the foliage as I go. I'm going to maneuver this wire out of the branch. Okay, fantastic. One of the reasons I like to style larch in the spring is because they're such a nightmare to deal with when they're in leaf, because this just all gets in the way. Now this wire here continues down this next branch. You could unwind this wire, but it's also a situation where wire cutters can work. So I'll demonstrate that now. The key with this is to make sure you don't go too deep on the wire and cut into the branch, and make sure you have control of the wire at all times when you're cutting. So you just cut in and let the wire come out. Even there, you can see I did make a small cut on the flesh of the branch there, which is why in general I prefer to unwire wherever I can, because these things are kind of unavoidable. I can barely find the wire in all this foliage. I'm just going to unwire the last of it here. So one wire removed. Let's see where else we've got tight wire. So we have a lot of thin wires on quite thickened branches down here, which are all digging in and aren't going to be suitable for cutting out. So I'm going to unwire these. I can find the end. Now, once I've wired from tip up to the main branch, instead of wiring down the next branch, I like to find the corresponding tip on the other branch and wire back and then meet in the middle, because it helps to have that stability in the middle of the branch. Okay, and from there I'm going to cut it out. Now we've got a couple others on here that are getting close to needing removed, but they're not quite there, and I'm going to leave these on as long as I can to get the most out of the wire, because I don't want to be rewiring this tree over and over. So I'll come back in a week or two and those will be ready to come out. So I hope that's helpful for you. If you want to understand how to work with larch bonsai to really maximize the amount of branching you can get out of the tree, then check out this video next.